The awakening storm. The city had no name anymore. Its skyscrapers lay as broken teeth jutting into the gray sky, its streets split with gaping cracks like veins running through the earth. Once millions had lived here, but now silence ruled, broken only by the whisper of a storm gathering on the horizon. In the depths of this ruin, beneath a half-collapsed research facility, two figures stirred. Their slumber had lasted decades, sealed away in glass-like chambers where machinery hummed with faint energy. They were not men, though they had once been human. They were not monsters, though the world might have called them that. They were something in between, born of science, forged by accident, destined for war. The first chamber cracked open with a hiss of steam. Out stepped Kael, broad-shouldered, his green skin glowing faintly under the flickering lights. His eyes, though sharp with power, carried discipline, the restraint of a warrior who had learned to temper strength with wisdom. His every movement was controlled, deliberate, as though the weight of the world already rested upon him. The second chamber burst with force, glass shattering as a roar ripped free. Drak emerged, larger, wilder, his muscles knotted with rage that simmered just beneath the surface. His crimson-tinged eyes burned, his breath heavy with a hunger for destruction. Where Kael was order, Drak was chaos. Where Kael walked, Drak thundered. The brothers faced each other in silence, the storm outside rumbling as though answering their awakening. "Kael," Drak growled, his voice deep as stone grinding against stone. "How long have we slept?" "Too long," Kael answered calmly, scanning the ruin. "The world has changed, but the air smells of fear. Something stirs, something powerful." Almost as if on cue, the ground quivered. From the distant sky came a sound no human ear could mistake, a hiss so vast it seemed to come from the heavens themselves. Clouds coiled, lightning spiraling into patterns like serpentine forms slithering across the firmament. The storm was not natural. Kael's eyes narrowed. "He's here." Drak cracked his fists, grinning with savage delight. "Good. Let him come. I need something to break." Far above, piercing the thunderclouds, the first shadow appeared. A colossal form, long and coiled, its scales glistening with metallic luster. The Serpent King had come, not as myth, not as prophecy, but as a living nightmare. His body stretched for miles, a cosmic titan forged in the abyss between stars. His eyes burned with ancient malice, and his fangs dripped with venom that corroded the very air. Around him, smaller serpent-like creatures rained down, their armored bodies slamming into the ruined city. They slithered and hissed, devouring what little remained of humanity's defenses. The world had not yet recovered from its scars, and now it faced extinction. The Serpent King's voice thundered across the land, not through air, but through minds. A hiss that slithered inside every living skull. "Earth bends to me. I am Ven'Kar, the Serpent King. Your champions are dust. Your armies will fall. Your world shall coil beneath my crown." Kael steadied himself, fists clenching. "Ven'Kar," he said, voice steady but grim. "The stories were true." Drak let out a booming laugh. "Stories? Brother, that thing is flesh and scale, and I intend to tear it apart." The brothers leapt into the ruins of the city, their feet shaking the broken streets. Serpent soldiers lunged, their jaws snapping. Kael fought with precision, striking each blow with purpose, breaking bones, crushing armor, disabling rather than destroying. He moved like a general on a battlefield, every motion calculated. Drak was different. He was the storm itself, uncontrolled, wild, devastating. He tore through serpents with savage joy, smashing them into rubble, ripping tails and crushing skulls with sheer brute force. To him, battle was not duty, it was release. "Slow down," Kael barked, slamming a serpent into the pavement. "We need strategy. Strategy is for the weak." Drak roared, swinging a serpent like a club into three others. Power is all that matters. Lightning split the sky, illuminating the Serpent King above them. Ven'Kar's gaze turned toward the brothers, and his colossal head descended, jaws opening wide enough to swallow buildings whole. His hiss was laughter. At last, the lost sons of Gamma. Your strength will serve me well. Together, we shall break this world and make it anew. Kael raised his fists. We will never serve you. But Drak hesitated. His crimson eyes flickered as Ven'Kar's words slithered into his mind. Power, freedom, domination. They were promises he had longed for, truths he had buried beneath rage. Ven'Kar's massive form coiled around the ruins, his shadow blotting out what little light remained. One brother bound by chains, the other bound by fury. I can unbind you both. Serve me, and earth is yours. Drak's fists trembled. For a heartbeat, Kael saw something dangerous in his brother's face, something darker than rage. Drak, Kael warned, stepping closer. Don't listen to him. But before the moment could break, the Serpent King struck. His colossal tail whipped across the battlefield, sending Kael crashing through what remained of a skyscraper. Dust and fire erupted as the building collapsed around him. Drak's roar shook the ruins, his fury ignited. You dare touch my brother? He leapt at Ven'Kar with terrifying force, smashing into the serpent's scales with a punch that cracked the air like thunder. The Serpent King hissed, not in pain, but in amusement. Yes, show me your strength, child of rage. Show me what it means to be unchained. Kael rose from the rubble, wiping blood from his lip. He saw Drak pounding at Ven'Kar, each strike louder, stronger, fueled by fury. But he also saw the serpent's eyes glowing brighter, as though feeding on that rage, twisting it, amplifying it. It wasn't a battle. It was a test. Kael clenched his fists. He knew then what the Serpent King truly sought. Not Earth, not conquest, but the brothers themselves. They were not just Earth's defenders. They were the prize. And the storm had only just begun. Venom and betrayal. The storm had grown darker, coiling above the ruined city like the crown of a god. The air stank of ash and venom, thick with the hissing of alien serpents as they slithered through the rubble. Lightning illuminated their scales, flashing like blades in the night. And in the center of this chaos, the Hulk brothers fought not just for survival, but for their very souls. Kael, battered from the Serpent King's strike, stood with his chest heaving, rubble crumbling around his feet. His disciplined gaze locked onto his brother, who was no longer fighting the alien serpents but hammering his fists against Ven'Kar's colossal scales. Each blow thundered, yet the alien titan only seemed to grow stronger, his golden eyes gleaming with amusement. Yes? Ven'Kar's voice slithered through the battlefield, not carried by sound but invading minds. Rage makes you whole. Do you feel it, Drak? Every strike, every roar, it feeds you. You could be endless. You could be free. Drak snarled, sweat and rain pouring down his green skin. His fists were bloodied from striking steel-hard scales, but he didn't stop. His crimson eyes flickered dangerously as the serpent's words sank deeper. Kael leapt forward, smashing through a cluster of serpent soldiers with brutal precision. Drak, he shouted, his voice a command. You're feeding him. He's twisting your anger against us. But Drak didn't hear, or didn't care. With a roar, he tore a massive chunk of metal from the ruins and swung it like a weapon, smashing it across Ven'Kar's snout. The Serpent King hissed, feigning pain, though his laughter echoed inside their skulls. Your brother fears you, Drak. He chains you with his calm, his rules, his discipline. But I see the truth. You are the stronger one. Alone, you could crush armies. Together, you are nothing but his shadow. Kael's jaw tightened. He could feel Drak's will slipping, could see it in the tremor of his hands, the frenzy in his eyes. This was no longer just a battle of fists, It was a war for his brother's soul. "Don't listen," Kael growled, planting himself between Drak and the serpent's towering head. "You're stronger than his lies. We fight together, or we fall." Drak froze, chest heaving, torn between blood and bond. Lightning split the sky again, painting the moment in silver. For the first time since their awakening, silence fell between the brothers. Then Ven'Kar struck. His colossal tail lashed out, coiling around Kael before he could react. Scales ground like iron chains as the serpent lifted him high into the storm. Kael struggled, straining every muscle, but Ven'Kar's coils constricted tighter, venom dripping dangerously close to his face. "Look at him, Drak," the Serpent King hissed. "Weak. Helpless. Always needing you to save him. Without you, he dies. But with me, you will never need to protect anyone again. You will rule." Drak's fists clenched. His breath came in heavy growls, his body trembling under the storm. He looked at Kael, his brother trapped, suffocating in the serpent's grip, and then at Ven'Kar, who offered power without restraint. "Drak," Kael's voice strained but steady, "don't let him take you. You are not his weapon. You are my brother." The words cut deeper than any venom. For a heartbeat, Drak wavered. His crimson eyes flickered, torn between fury and loyalty. But Ven'Kar pressed harder. His mental voice slithered like poison. "He lies. He fears you. Choose me, and your rage will never be chained again. Strike him down, and Earth will be ours." Drak roared, the sound shaking the city. He leapt upward, landing on the serpent's coils, his fists glowing with raw gamma fury. Kael's eyes widened, not knowing if his brother's strike was meant for the serpent or for him. The answer came in a storm of destruction. Drak's punch smashed into Ven'Kar's coils, loosening them just enough for Kael to break free. The Serpent King shrieked, his voice rattling glass for miles. But even as Kael fell free, relief flooding his chest, he saw the truth in Drak's burning eyes. Drak hadn't struck for loyalty. He had struck for dominance. Landing beside his brother, Drak's fists still trembled with fury. His glare turned not to Ven'Kar, but to Kael. "I'm tired of your commands. Tired of fighting under your shadow. Maybe the serpent is right. Maybe you're the chain around my neck." Kael's stomach twisted. The betrayal wasn't complete, not yet, but the venom of doubt was inside him. "Drak," he said softly, trying to reach past the rage. "We were made together. We fight for more than ourselves. If you turn against me—" "I won't turn," Drak interrupted, his voice dark. "I'll rise, and you'll either rise with me or be crushed beneath me." Lightning cracked again, the storm howling louder. The battlefield was no longer brothers against serpent, it was brother against brother. Ven'Kar coiled higher, his golden eyes gleaming with triumph. His laughter filled the night. "Yes, yes, let the war of blood begin. Let the titans devour themselves. When you are broken, I shall claim the victor." The ground shook as the Hulk brothers faced each other, their bond unraveling under the serpent's venom. Humanity's last hope fractured before its own eyes. And as the storm reached its peak, the world knew this truth. The greatest threat was not the Serpent King alone, but the shadow of betrayal spreading between the two who were meant to save it. War of the Titans. The storm had reached its zenith. Clouds churned like an ocean above the ruined city, and lightning lanced down in jagged streaks that split the night. The ground itself trembled as though the earth feared what was about to unfold. Two brothers stood in the wreckage, once united, now torn apart. Kael, battered but unbroken, his disciplined gaze sharp as a blade. Drak, fists glowing with raw gamma fury, crimson eyes clouded by rage and doubt. And above them, coiling around shattered towers like a living apocalypse, loomed Ven'Kar, the Serpent King. His scales gleamed like obsidian metal, venom dripping from fangs as long as swords. His laughter hissed through the storm, a sound that curdled the blood of every human still watching from the shadows. "Yes, my titans," Ven'Kar's voice slithered through their minds, wrapping around them like chains. "Destroy each other. Spill your brother's blood. When one remains, I shall claim my champion. Together, we will rule this world." Kael steadied his breath, fists clenched, eyes locked on Drak. "Brother," he said, voice firm but heavy, "this isn't our war. It's his. Don't let him twist you any further." But Drak's body shook, his rage barely contained. "Maybe he's right," he snarled. "Maybe I've been your shadow too long. Maybe the world doesn't need discipline, it needs power." The words cut Kael deeper than any wound. "If you believe that, then strike me." The storm fell silent for a heartbeat. Then Drak roared, the sound shaking the heavens, and charged. Their collision was cataclysmic. Fist met fist, shockwaves rippling outward, shattering glass miles away. The ground cratered beneath them as their gamma-charged blows echoed like thunder. Kael fought with precision, blocking, countering, striking only when he saw openings. Drak was a tempest, wild, relentless, every strike meant to break, not test. "Fight me," Drak bellowed, swinging with enough force to topple towers. "I am fighting you," Kael grunted, ducking under a strike and slamming his fist into Drak's ribs, sending him skidding across rubble. "But not to kill you, to save you." Drak spat blood, his grin feral. "Save me? I don't need saving. I need to be unleashed." Above them, Ven'Kar coiled higher, his laughter shaking the air. "Yes. Tear the chains. Unleash your fury. Only one of you deserves to survive." Lightning cracked, illuminating the battlefield as serpent soldiers swarmed, hissing and snapping. But they dared not come close. The storm that was the Hulk brothers was far deadlier than any army. Kael lunged, grappling Drak, forcing him back against the rubble of a fallen tower. "Listen to me," he shouted over the storm. "You're stronger than this venom. Stronger than him." Drak snarled, muscles bulging as he shoved Kael off with a roar. "Stop chaining me with your words." His fists glowed brighter, rage boiling over. He leapt forward, driving Kael into the ground with a strike that split the earth. Dust and fire erupted, swallowing them both. For a moment, all was chaos. When the smoke cleared, Kael rose slowly, battered but still standing. He looked at his brother, chest heaving, and spoke with the weight of truth. "We weren't made to rule, Drak. We were made to protect. Not because we chose it, but because no one else can." Something flickered in Drak's crimson eyes. "Doubt," Ven'Kar hissed, sensing it. His massive head lowered, golden eyes blazing. "Weakness. He poisons you with weakness. Strike him down now, or I will." The serpent lunged, fangs bared, venom spraying like rain. And in that instant, Drak chose. With a roar that shook the storm, he threw himself between Kael and Ven'Kar's strike. Venom burned across his skin, but he held the serpent's fangs apart with raw strength, muscles straining, eyes blazing. "You want a champion?" he growled. "You'll have both of us." Kael surged forward, slamming his fists into Ven'Kar's jaw, breaking the serpent's strike. Together, the brothers unleashed a storm of blows, their fury no longer aimed at each other but at the alien king who sought to divide them. The battle became legend. Drak tore through coils thick as towers, ripping scales free with bare hands. Kael struck with precision, targeting weak points, breaking bones beneath armored flesh. Ven'Kar thrashed, his colossal body wrapping around entire blocks, crushing buildings beneath him. His hiss was fury, his venom rivers of acid that melted steel. But the brothers fought as one. For every strike Drak landed with savage rage, Kael followed with controlled precision, their strengths weaving together like two halves of a whole. Still, The Serpent King was vast. His tail swept through them, hurling them across the battlefield. They slammed into ruins, bones cracking, blood spilling. Kael struggled to his feet, wiping blood from his mouth. Drak staggered beside him, laughing through the pain. "This is it," Drak grinned. "One last round." Kael nodded, eyes burning with resolve. Together they charged. The final clash shook the heavens. Kael leapt high, lightning flashing around him, driving his fists into Ven'Kar's skull. Drak barreled low, smashing into the serpent's coils with earth-shattering force. Ven'Kar shrieked, his body writhing, scales shattering under their combined fury. But the Serpent King unleashed his final weapon. His body glowed with cosmic energy, his form expanding, venom igniting into searing streams of acid fire. He reared back, towering over the brothers like a god. "You are nothing," he roared. "I am eternal." Kael and Drak locked eyes, brothers no longer divided, but united in purpose. They roared as one, leaping into the storm. Together they struck. Kael drove his fists into Ven'Kar's crown, shattering the glowing gem that pulsed with his power. Drak followed with a blow that cracked the serpent's skull like thunder-splitting stone. Ven'Kar shrieked, his coils thrashing wildly, then collapsing. His colossal body crashed into the city, leveling ruins, shaking the earth. His golden eyes dimmed, venom spilling harmless into the ground. The Serpent King was no more. Silence fell, broken only by the hiss of dying rain. Kael stood amidst the wreckage, chest heaving. Drak staggered beside him, bloodied, scorched, but alive. They looked at one another. No words, only the bond that had nearly been broken, now reforged in fire. Drak smirked through his blood. "Guess we make a decent team, when I'm not trying to kill you." Kael let out a rare, weary chuckle. "Don't make a habit of it." Around them, what little remained of humanity began to emerge from the shadows, staring in awe. The Titans had not destroyed the world. They had saved it. But the scars would remain, on the city, on the earth, and on the brothers themselves. As the storm finally broke, Kael looked to the horizon. "This isn't the end," he murmured. "There will be others, stronger than him. And when they come—" Drak cracked his fists, a grin tugging at his mouth. "Then we'll smash them too." The brothers walked into the dawn together, titans of war, protectors of a fragile world, united not by choice, but by destiny. And though the Serpent King lay slain, the legend of the War of the Titans was only beginning.